Good morning, one and all. This is Ray from Next Forex Trade. Today is Thursday, the 19th of September, 2019, and let's kick off. Here to teach, not preach Forex. So let's have a look at what the market's doing. If you've seen previous videos from this week, you'll see that in a lot of cases we're looking for some support on some of the charts to break, so to make some of the shorts viable. That's happened on some of them now, so we'll go over that today. And also, if you do like what you're hearing as well, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, so you can get notified as well to these weekday daily analysis of the market. So firstly, let's have a look at AUDCAD. So AUDCAD, we've seen this nice bearishness that I've talked about throughout the previous last few days, and we've got potential for entry now. So this bearishness was overall quite good on a daily, lower lows, lower highs. We had the standard deviation around the price. It interacting with our upper edge of our standard deviation, saying the price was overbought, and it had basically, we're looking for signs of bearishness now on the lower time frames, which we started to see. My main concern in previous days was the fact that the standard deviation on our 4-hourly was still very bullish. So this 4-hourly move here is the same as this daily move here. Now it started to break through that standard deviation on the 4-hourly. It's not out of the woods yet. This still could have context to the upside, but it's a good sign, giving more context to this downward move here now. So obviously all our other lower time frames here have started to show lower lows, lower highs, which is good. And this means we can just wait for a bit more value for money to come back into the market. So by value for money, what I mean is the price should pull back. So we've seen it extend, we've seen it break past these areas of support here. So if we zoom out a bit, there was this area of support that the price was kind of held up around yesterday and previous days, which was previous resistance as well, these previous highs. So it's broken through that, which is a good sign. So in order to enter this, what I would like to see is the price come back and retrace. So either interact with the average of our standard deviation, so this middle line here, or to the upper edge. So see a reversal candle off of one of those and see the price move past the low would allow for an entry. And I would still be looking for stop losses above the previous high. So this high here, which would be the same as this lower high in this downward move here, would still be my preference for a stop loss. So that would put your profit targets around these kinds of levels here, depending on where your entry was. But yeah, that's something to look out for today. AUDCAD for shorts, if we see that value come back in the market. So AUDCHF, so this one, and sorry for pauses, because a lot of the time you're just hearing my thought process as I talk through what I'm seeing. I'm seeing some of these for the first time, and obviously it's a lot quicker if I'm not talking through. It takes about 10 minutes just to go through without having to talk through, but I want to give as much value for you guys as possible. So this, I would leave this as other stuff better in the moment. Definitely bearish on this. We can see this bearish move here in the daily, low lows, low highs. This encountered resistance, as did the previous pair in recent days. But the problem for me at the moment is this 4-hourly is a bit tricky. It still has context as this upward move here, or this move here on a daily, and it hasn't really broken that price structure convincingly for me. And the lower time frames, the bearish movement isn't as great yet as well. It's not across the board bearish, so I would pass on that for today. Yeah, this is, let's just see. Similar story here. Is bearishness here in the daily that we can see, lower lows, lower highs. Highs are getting lower, lows are getting lower. It's overbought in terms of where standard deviation is. The 4-hourly is still quite bearish, so this, sorry, quite bullish, representing this retrace that we see on the daily, this move here. It's good that it's broken this support, but it's not quite the story that I want to see yet. I mean, in the course of today, going in tomorrow, if we see this start to, you know, move down and pull back, that could be better signs, but it's still likely that it's going to be finding support of the standard deviation there. And I'd just be wary as well that this level does have some significance in previous price action as well. This candle hasn't formed on the 4-hourly yet, but it's just still something to look out for. These previous highs that we were seeing here is likely going to be quite zonal. Yeah, I'd leave this. It's really just a case of finding the story that is easiest to read, and sometimes it can be a bit you know, not clear cut, and you can find yourself taking bad trades, and when there's better stuff out there. So just conserve your capital for the best trades at the time of entry. So this here is AUDUSD, which is a trade that I'm in. I entered this yesterday at 0.5%, simply because of where the timing was. I did want to add more to this to bring it up to at least 2%, but the price has already moved off. The premise for the entry was, as I would have explained in yesterday's video, we did see a whole lot of resistance here. In the daily, we saw clear signs of lower lows, lower highs. The reason I wanted 0.5% as well, rather than going up for the full 3%, is because if we look at the daily, the interaction that we were kind of seeing wasn't really at the upper edge of our standard deviation, which would have been my preference when the lower high came into place. It was kind of in the middle of that, which was fine. It still gave context for the stop loss above these previous above this previous lower high and above this previous resistance, but it just isn't as ideal. So I just reduced the risk in terms of the trade. The 4-hourly gave enough context in that we were seeing this move here, and the price broke the price structure of the standard deviation, the higher lows, and broke through that. So that was a good sign. And we can see on the hourly, I've actually marked off the time where my entry was. So we can see that the green line is my entry, and the purple vertical line was the time. And the reason why I was a bit cautious around this area here, because at the time of entry, just go back in time here, this would have been the story that I would have been able to see. Right, so this much, and the positioning was okay because overall the other time frames were quite bearish. It had broken you know, significant areas of structure. But the thing to be cautious of, at the time I sold, there was a potential of selling into this resistance. This was quite a strong area of selling into the support. So the previous low here kind of double bottomed. There was previous resistance, previous support. So the timing where I entered here wouldn't have been as great, because as well of where the standard deviation was, it was kind of the average. So a better entry would have been, you know, where it had pulled all the way back to the standard deviation, allowing for a bigger sized position because of where my stop loss would have been, which would be above these previous highs to start with. Yeah, it wasn't there. So the way that I kind of mitigated that was just to go for a lower position size, with the potential of looking to add to that should the price pull back as well. It did pull back, and there would have been the perfect entry based on what I wanted to see on this candle here, forming and interacting with standard deviation. Had I been around to see that at the time, I would have shorted that, you know, almost definitely, and added another 0.5% to 1% to the position. But I missed it, so you know, can't see everything. But you know, the way this has turned out, it's okay. So it's gone into profit now. What I've done, rather than have my stop loss up here, I've protecting profit. So I've got a protective stop based on, I'm going to use a price action to guide this this trade. So it's currently around 1% profit in here, because I'm only risking £50 on this. And what I'm going to do, although I've got another take profit down here, I'm going to let the price action dictate how I exit this. So I'm looking for the price to continue to make lower lows and lower highs and have my stop above the previous lower high price action. So this wouldn't be one that I would enter again. For now, it's just a bit too late in this phase. So for this to be another entry, really I want to see some kind of a pullback to make that viable. But this is how I've traded this one, and it's going okay at the moment. So got a profit locked in on that. So next one is CAD CHF. No, I wouldn't trade that. This is CAD JPY, which is actually looking quite good. So bearish overall. Obviously, we've got these lower lows, lower highs, price interacting up here with our standard deviation upper channel. So giving some clues that the price could move back down lower. The 4 hourly is a bit, yeah, so this was similar to the AUDJPY, I think. So the 4 hourly still capturing this retrace here, pullback on the daily, which is bullish, but we're looking for signs of bearishness, which based on the 4 hourly, yeah, I mean, it's good that it's started to pierce on the hourly. It started to pierce this previous support we can see in recent hours, but it's just not enough yet. I want to see it definitively move lower and then pull back. So although this is looking good in terms of bearishness, I don't think the timing's quite right on this yet to consider shorting. Now this is the CHFJPY. This is yeah, so bearish overall. Happy with this. Lower lows, lower highs, overbought area. 4 hourly has broken outside of its standard deviation in recent price action. It's not out the woods because this still has context, the upside, but it's good that it's broken out, giving kind of weight to this potential move down here. And we can see on the hourly as well, we'd had let's just see how that fits. Okay, so we've had, so this move here is the same as this move on the 4 hourly, and we can see on the hourly, I'm just going to blow this up, so the price was making these higher lows and higher highs, and it's broken this previous higher low here, so we can deem that price action's been broken, and there's enough context to this move here. So this downward move with lower lows and lower highs, and the standard deviation at the moment is currently in an oversold area, so we wouldn't want to short this quite yet, but should the price come back in today's session to either the average or the upper edge of our standard deviation, I would be willing to short that. That would be some decent value for money. Stop loss would go above this previous high, which is also neatly above, roughly outside of our standard deviation, above that as well, so that would make sense. One-to-one take profits would probably be around these here, which would be before our previous low as well, which is also another good factor. So yeah, it's wait and see on this one. Have an eye on this during today's market. Let me just see what the swaps are on this as well, because this is likely, if this were to be entered, something that goes into the weekend. Which leaves you susceptible to gaps. Okay, yeah, short swap isn't too bad on that. So yeah, that's another one for the watch list. Euro AUD, no. Daily's bullish. These other time frames, this is daily's bullish, this is bearish, and this is yeah, it's just not congruent at the moment, so pass on that. Ooh, so AUDCAD, I'd be bearish because this, I mean, this isn't, you know, your quintessential trending movement with like clear lower lows and lower highs, but there's still context based on the way that it's inside of our standard deviation for this move. It looks clearer on our lower time frame on the 4 hourly with these lower lows, lower highs, because there's more price points. But would I short this? I mean, obviously the first point of reference is a stop above these previous this previous lower high on the daily, sorry, on the 4 hourly, this level. So this would be above this previous resistance here, above our lower high here. So that potential resistance, there's zonal support there as well. So there's you know, good argument to have a stop above that type of level. But it's really seeing the signs on the lower time frames to say that this is going to be bearish still, which it isn't really yet. I mean, it's definitely finding trouble moving higher, but that's not to say that there's enough information to say that it's likely to move lower. It's come down, it's come down, it's hit it, it's come down, it's hit it again. Got these previous areas here, 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 here. So yeah, stops above that level, but yeah, there's no signs of bearishness. There's no lower lows, lower highs yet that I can see in the price. So I'd pass on that for today. Euro Swissy, no, bearish overall. Bullish, 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 bullish. There's nothing saying at the moment for me in the lower time frames that this could continue to move lower, so pass. Well, there's definitely better context now to this move, but there's no clear pullbacks in the price, so it's a bit tricky to trade. So I would pass on that. Just want the clearest story as possible to read. So yeah, I'm bearish on this, but that's bullish, bullish. So no, pass on that. And no, price action's not really great there. It's very choppy, bit sideways. So pass. This one, bearish overall. Clear sign of a lower high, interacting with standard deviation. Some nice bearishness on the 4 hourly, but lower than that there isn't much signs of bearishness. So there's better stuff out there. I'd pass on that. That's Euro USD. No, this is very choppy price action. No, I'd pass on this. GBP AUD. So this is GBP CAD. I mean, reasonable signs of bearishness. This move on the daily starting to have a bit more context, which is the same as this move here. Definitely encountering a lot of resistance. You can see I've got that trend line in previously, which is at the upper edge of our standard deviation channel. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be seeing some signs of the overall daily trend on this. I would say is bearish, but there's no signs of bearishness whatsoever on any of these other time frames. They're all very, very bullish. So pass. Same here. Same here. GBP Swissy. Yeah, the pound's been getting strength recently. Who knows how prolonged that's going to be. In my opinion, it's more likely going to be a retrace than a reversal. But we can see again bearishness overall, but our lower time frames are still very bullish at the moment. So pass. Yeah, won't labour the point. Same here on this other pound cross, GBP/JPY. So pass. This price action isn't really readable, so pass. GBP/USD cable. Same thing here. Of all the ones, I think this is probably the easiest to read of the GBP ones, in that the way it's encountered its resistance here. So it's nicely formed within our standard deviation, finding resistance here at previous support levels, here, goes back here, probably goes back further, quite zonal around these areas. So yeah, there's good reference point for stops above this level, but really it's just waiting for these lower time frames to start rolling over, so start breaking the price structure, creating lower lows and lower highs. So at the moment the low that pops out is this previous low here, so really to see that move much lower than that, start to cycle down, produce lower lows, lower highs. The 4 hourly, yeah, it's probably going to be into next week before the 4 hourly really starts to break price structure. So yeah, I would yeah, definitely wouldn't trade this today, but it's just trying to envisage what the price could do going forward so you can be prepared for it. This is NZDCAD. Bearish on this overall. Wouldn't really want to be shorting this now. It's a bit late because, as I would have mentioned yesterday, we've seen these nice signs of bearishness. It's pulled back and it's kind of in its impulse move here. It's kind of extending here. So the time to enter this, which is what I did on my other trade on the, not on the CAD but on the USD, NZDUSD, was I had two positions in this, which I was able to take some profit off. But that's when the price was still up here. The timing on that is much better because it means you've got you entering it based on the pullback and the price potentially going into extension. So my stop was up here, and profit targets were around here. I could have kept it in for these lows here, but it's just a matter of preference. As it approaches this level here, this previous low, there's a good chance that it could find support as well and then bounce back. So trying to enter short here, the logical place for your stop loss would be above this previous lower high. But that means, as I've explained several times in the other videos, if you've got a stop up here, it means that you've got to extend your take profit even on a 1-to-1. It means that, let's say we enter around this price, your take profit on a 1-to-1 reward to risk is all the way down here. So the price has got to do an awful lot. It's got to break this previous low, break support, and extend that far as well to make your money. Whereas entering up here, just after the pullback, all the price has to do, well, I say all the price, I mean, there's less that the price has to do in order to hit your take profit at a 1-to-1. It has to at least, make a move towards its previous low. And that would have offered, 2-to-1 if you're right at the beginning of that kind of continuation. Yeah, this is just too late in the face to consider for me. And NZDJPY. Can you short this? Yeah, similar to the other NZD cross that I would have talked about, whereby bearish overall. This isn't great that it's not interacting with the upper edge of a standard deviation, but it's still overbought in this area here. It's still in the upper half, so that's still good. Let's just see how significant that was. So I'm looking at this as the lower high just to see how significant that is, to see how it could hold up as resistance. On the daily, there's only really one point that I can see that comes in view. Let's just go to the weekly. So the weekly gives a bit more context. I don't know what's going on with these charts here. There's some data spikes, but let's just presume that these are correct, and these previous highs here have context on the weekly, which would tell us that a move above this level could be tricky. So we've got at least some context for our stop above this level, and the price structure on the 4-hourly had broken as well. So it had gone outside of its standard deviation, which gives a bit more confidence to consider this downward move here. We've seen a lower time frame start to roll over as well, lower lows, lower highs. What I'd be looking for on this to potentially enter this in today's market would be a pullback. So the price coming back to the upper edge of our standard deviation, perhaps even the average, but the more conservative trade is waiting for it to come all the way up to this area of the standard deviation, have a reversal candle, something like this candle here, but later on look for a short, stops above this level, which is on the daily this previous lower high here. So that will take you 1-to-1, take profits just before these previous lows here. So yeah, that stacks as a trade. NZDJPY. NZD really talked about this based on the same kind of movement as the NZDCAD. Same logic applies. It's just a bit late in the phase here to consider jumping on the back of now, so pass on that one. No. USD CAD, no. Contradicting price action, I mean, I'd want to be bearish on this because of the trouble that this resistance is shown here, previous support, but this move here is prominent on all the other time frames, so this is quite bullish. So need to see some bearish movements before considering that. USDJPY. Yeah, again, this area of resistance is clear trouble where the price is going to move through. So obviously in our upper edge of our standard deviation, it's in fact outside of it, giving us clues that the price could want to revert to the mean and find some you know, move back down. But yeah, the 4 hourly, no signs of doing that yet. But yeah, going into later sessions today, tomorrow, maybe if it breaks this kind of support here that we're seeing on the daily. So this support would be a break of the price structure because this is higher highs, higher lows. It moving past this low here would be it making a new lower high, and it would break some quite significant areas of support. This area here, this previous resistance. So that would give it context to potentially short, but it would need to break it and then pull back, giving us the ability to have a standard deviation channel from the high to the low of that price action. But that's conjecture until it happens, if it happens. So you can see this. So yeah, that's it for today. You can see this Aussie USD trade is at 1% at the moment in terms of where the profit is currently. So I'll be monitoring that and I'll update you as to how that goes tomorrow. And yeah, that's it for today. Leave any questions or comments, and do subscribe to the channel as well. Really appreciate that if you can help with that. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye.